Thanks for staying with us right here on Sunrise as we continue this morning. Now, developing innovative concepts is a critical undertaking for growing companies of all sizes. However, many people believe innovation is for big companies that employ scientists and spend extensively on research and development. Now, this morning, we're discussing the importance of innovation and creativity in small businesses, as well as the Product of the Year Awards. Now, joining us in studio for this discussion is Product of the Year CEO and Chief Innovation Analyst, Preetesh Sewraj. And remember, you can be part of our conversation by giving us a call on 011 447 1742 or 1620. That's 447 1620. Your comments are also welcome on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Thanks very much for joining us, Preetesh, this morning. Now, when you say innovation, you know, there's a few quarters of the population who says yes. But in the simplest of terms, what is innovation all about?
So innovation is just incremental change on an existing idea. I think the problem we have is a lot of people confuse invention and innovation. And if you look at it, an invention was when the wheel was invented. You know, thousands of years ago, stone wheel was invented. And innovation is something like the Bugatti Veyron. I don't know about you, if you look at the difference between, I'd rather have the innovation than the invention because it's an improvement on an existing idea.
So it's an improvement on an existing idea. That's and that just makes it like a minefield. You can do so much with it.
Exactly, because the key thing is that a lot of people try to limit themselves to absolute new ideas. No, you should actually look at things around you, things in your world, and things that you find an issue with, where you think there's improvement areas there. And then put in those improvements, and that's what constitutes an innovation.
Okay. All right. So in terms of like innovation in the small business context in the broader South Africa, and looking at the times that we're living in, I mean, how innovative are small business people?
I think they're some of the most innovative people in our economy right now. And the sad thing is most people don't realize it, because the real growth in an economy comes from your SMEs who are innovating and creating new ideas and new products, because they have the agility to change their thinking, change to a different direction. So yeah, we are quite innovative. The challenge is it's convincing the market that that innovation is strong enough to be monetized later on.
But I mean, also I think the fear for people who are doing innovative ideas getting into a market is the big players sort of like suppressing them or silencing them, so to say?
Yeah, you got to find your niche in the market. I mean, there's multiple tiers. You are always going to have the big players. And you tend to find a lot of the companies that are big today were once the small players in the market who slowly took their time to grow big. And that's what we have. We've got to have that perseverance. I always say it's like that dog with the bone. You can't let go of an idea or a good opportunity purely because there's too much competition. There's always going to be competition. What you can control is the way you react to that competition and the way you continuously improve and innovate to out-innovate your competitors.
As an SME in a particular space, can you go out and say, we just want to be innovators in that field? We're going to look at, like, you know, best practices or ideas that are out there that might not have worked or not working correctly, and we're going to reinvent that and bring them back to life in a new way. Could that be a viable business?
That's exactly, I think, what lots of SMEs should be doing. Is they should be going out there and looking at the viability of changing existing ideas and improving on it. Look, SMEs don't have these big research budgets or the R&D budgets that you're going to find in the large organizations. But what they have is access to market insights that are free. And they can get that by seeing where the market is moving, what's happening. And then when they see these big companies maybe missing an opportunity or not wanting to go down a route purely because it's not viable for them, that's the route the SMEs should be going down and trying to innovate there.
Well, you touched a bit on cost, and the feeling is that a lot of SMEs feel that there's too much cost, you know, in terms of like money that needs to be spent in that. So once you start talking innovation, the feeling is that it's associated with, you know, a lot of research and watching, you know, and spending a lot of time really, they'll say, doing nothing, you know, so to say.
Yeah, well, it's not really doing nothing. What you should be doing is spending your time on research, and that doesn't really have a cost. So a lot of people think that if we're going to spend a lot of time researching, finding new ideas, I need to go hire a big research company. I need to now invest in staff. And that scares people away from doing things. The reality is, we live in an information-rich world. You know, at a touch of our fingertips on our devices, we can actually find so many ideas. We can find best practices on a global level where other companies similar to our size have been doing great work in other markets. So I say copy with pride. So wherever you find an opportunity, copy some of the ideas, improve on it, and go forward. You don't necessarily need those big research budgets, and you're not going to be wasting time and money trying to do that. You're really going to take the best ideas and move forward with it.
Okay, copy with pride.
Copy with pride. I had, you know, I was taught in one environment where they said steal with pride, and I don't think many people want to use steal. Copy with pride. There's no such thing as an original idea.
Yeah, because I mean, a coffee mug is a coffee mug is a coffee mug. All you can do is put Sunrise on it.
Exactly, and the coffee you're drinking inside,
yeah.
regardless of the brand, they probably sourced from, let's say, the same forest,
yeah.
processed in a particular way, and delivered to you in a way that you like. But in reality, when you go down it, there's no such thing as an original idea. What you've got to do is take these existing ideas and improve on it, and then you kind of make it your own in a way.
Yeah.
But still, you have to pay tribute to the facts.
So pay tribute to the fact, add your personal touch to it. Okay, but there's a thin line. Plagiarism on the other side. How do you deal with that? Because sometimes people are caught up in that.
Yes, so it's as we're chatting off, it's one of my little pet gripes, peeves that we have out there, is that a lot of brands in South Africa, we think the way that we can be successful is by sometimes plagiarizing the bigger brands. So you have a look at something a big brand's done, let's say in the fast-moving consumer goods market, you go, that's great, I'm going to now copy that exact same product, yellow cap, clear bottle, and I'm going to put it on. That's not what we should be thinking about. What we should be thinking about is not plagiarism, but really improvement. How can you create your own niche and your own idea within that space that excites consumers? And that's the important thing. Just because something is in the market right now and is the only available offering does not mean that it's exciting and surprising people. You've got to apply your mind and your own passion to that product in that sector, and you'll be able to excite people.
Okay, so there's a lot of people who said, you know, I came up with this idea, I did this, but yeah, you know, it never went anywhere. So a lot of people who are doing innovative things, they're sitting in a small corner by themselves because obviously they're trying to protect the idea that they have, and they do this thing, and then it doesn't take off as they expected. How can, I don't know, someone like yourself who deals with this on a daily basis, what are the things that they can do to make sure that they elevate their ideas to the next level? So
the first thing is don't get stuck on the idea. So a lot of people go, this is a great idea, I don't want to tell anyone about it, and I want to patent it before I tell. That's not going to happen. You can do a small change and the patent goes away and you've already wasted money. What you should be thinking about is what's called a first mover advantage. If you've got a great idea, how can you take it to market as fast as possible so that when people think of that idea, they think of you and no one else? And that's what I want to tell people. If you're sitting in that corner, scared that somebody's going to steal your idea and you don't want to share it with too many people, it's the wrong approach. Start sharing it with as many people. You might find other people who are also excited about it and join you and come along on that journey with you. There's no great idea that can run by one person alone. You really do need a team of people or a support structure around it for that idea to grow.
All right, so can small companies out-innovate big companies?
Yes, and it happens all the time. I mean, you tend to find that think of this, a big company is like a big cruise liner. It's going really slowly, it's happy to travel on the sea really, really slowly, but when it needs to turn, it takes a long time to do so. Small companies are like speedboats. They're agile, they're nimble, they don't carry as much HR baggage, they don't carry as much historical baggage. When they're going down this journey, they're able to change direction, change course, and do things in a much more agile way. So yes, lots of small companies have the ability to outmaneuver the bigger companies and erode some of the terms. A few years ago, there was a really tiny South African company that came up with a washing powder. Small company, I visited their factory, really tiny, and they managed to
just steal. Outside of, not far from Soweto.
Yes, not too far away from there. And they managed to steal a 20% exit share, which is massive from the market leader at the time. South African company was able to do that really because they found out what excites consumers and they were able to move really quickly. So that's the benefit that small companies have that big companies lack.
All right, one of the things that you look after, besides being an innovation analyst, is that you work with product of the year. So once people say product of the year, so the question is, do you get like lots of South African products that you have to like look at and say, this one is a product of the year or not? Or how does it work?
So yeah, we do get a lot of South African products. We get a lot of international products. Basically, we research products that are sold within the South African market. And what we do is we go to consumers and once we get the products, we do a large research survey of between 4,000 and 5,000 consumers, households around South Africa. And we say, have a look at this product. You may have not applied your mind to it, but is the price point right? So is the value proposition right? Do you think this product could add value to your life, and would you be willing to buy it? I think the big challenge that we have as South Africans, when we go into environments, and I'm going to use a supermarket as an example of this. When we go into the supermarket, we go in and we see the biggest product and we take it, we put it in our trolleys and we walk away. We don't apply our minds to some of the great small South African innovation that might be on the same shelves. And that's what we do. We stimulate thinking about that product so that these small products, if they do well, can be able to go out to consumers and say, hey, we've done well. We've beat some of the bigger brands in terms of our innovation. Shouldn't you be considering us when you're next in that shopping spree?
So that sounds like there's a gap between, like, you know, the product and a bit of consumer education. So people are just like in a rush and they just grab what they have and that's it.
Yeah, and I think marketing has a huge role to play in this, because you're sitting in front of television, you're seeing all of these ads, or you're seeing it in a newspaper and you're seeing an ad. And what you do is you forget that some of the brands that can't advertise may still have a fantastic product. And that's what we're saying is, let's take out the effect of that big brand effect and purely go down to the basics. What is your need as a consumer, and which product is best able to fulfill that need? And the product that can fulfill it may come from a tiny little business that's sitting in some tiny little corner just outside of Soweto versus a big company that has massive plants.
Okay, so this coming Thursday is the annual product of the year. So just tell us a bit about what that event is about.
So it's a celebration of innovation within South Africa. I think one of the big challenges that we have, and it's the reason why we work with big companies as well, is sitting here at the southern tip of Africa. What happens is a lot of international companies sitting in America and Western Europe look down at us and go, yeah, I don't know if they're ready for this great innovation that we have. And therefore, a lot of people who travel go, oh man, the last time I was in London or New York, there was this great product. I don't know why we get it here. Our job really is twofold. One, we stimulate innovation on the small businesses in South Africa. But two, we also challenge the big companies and say, we are smart, savvy consumers. And if you have great innovation that's available elsewhere in the world, why not bring it to us? Expose us to that innovation as well. And because if we're exposed to it, it also helps South African businesses see the kind of level of innovation and use that as the benchmark, not the technology that is from 3 or 4 years in the past that we're being exposed to.
Okay, well, Preetesh, we're going to have to leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining.